consequences. There's no excuse. You've been loosed.
This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Janice Pons. I'm the host on our podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspectives, Spiritual Truths. Guys, we got a lot going on. I've always talked about how things are going to heat up. Why? Because we've got an election coming up in November, and then that's going to segue us right into the presidential election in 2028. There's a lot going on, and it's going to escalate. Why? We're in America. Why? There's a lot on the line. And we come over here in our community, and we dissect things. So, having said that, first and foremost, we've got our flag behind us that represents us as citizens in our great country. There are people that don't like America. I happen to love America. We're here, and America's worth standing up for. America's worth fighting for in a godly way, through prayer, through informing. We don't have to be at each other's throats. We definitely don't have to be physical, but some people, because they lack strategy, skills, and tools, they resort to things that are not productive. But over here, I like for us to be an example of a way we can do things differently. And so we've got our flag behind us. We've got our great presidential seal here. Why? This visual reminds us of the need to pray for the executive branch of our government. We have our executive branch. We have our legislative branch. They need help. They need prayer. And we've got our judicial branch of the government as well. Yes, the Supreme Court. So that's how America's set up, and here we are, and we need to be praying for each other. We need to inform each other, and that's what this community is all about. Tonight, having said that, tonight, we're going to examine something that's generated a lot of discussion. There's a lot of discussion going on in our nation. And what I've learned is that a lot of times our fellow Americans, they are driven by emotions, and they just don't have facts. And because they don't have facts, they walk around in a perpetual state of emotionality that's driven by deception, manipulation, and control. So it's so important that we have a foundation that's based on facts. So it's important that we get the foundation right. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Getting the foundation right, and our clinical perspectives for tonight is embracing freedom. Embracing freedom. There's a lot pulling on us to keep us away from freedom. So we're going to dissect some things from my heart to your heart. What's from the heart reaches the heart. And I thank you so much for the followers on social media. I thank you so much for those with this podcast. It's downloaded in the last analysis that I saw, 12 different countries around the world. I say thank you. Thank you so much. So let's dive in. Guys, we are the foundation of America. Us, we the people. There are those that want to fight that and want to tell us that when I say my country, this not your country. It's never been your country. This not our country. We've always been slaves. You're a slave now. It goes on and on and on. And I don't buy into it. There are things I don't buy into anymore. I used to. I used to be snatched around like a rag doll emotionally about these types of dynamics, about who was against us and who's got their foot on our neck and who's controlling us. Guys, the Democrat establishment has done a masterful job of convincing too many of our kinfolk and our fellow Americans to hate America. And with much specificity, I've never seen the type of vitriol that I've seen directed towards our current president, Donald Trump, with his imperfect self, with his rough around the edges self. I've just not seen so much hate. I've totally disagreed with many presidents, but I've never, ever hated anyone. I deal with facts, I deal with policy. That's what I deal with. And that's a part of my community discussion. And those that have the propensity to come here, that's what gets our attention. And I think it's very important that it's centered around factual, historically accurate information, and that's how I roll. So I'm not talking about a policy disagreement when it comes to Donald Trump, because he is he's the head of our executive branch. He is the leader of America. And it's so many dynamics going on around him and the country and which way we're going that it warrants our attention. At least I think it does. I think it does. So when I bring up his name, and I discuss him a lot in this community, excuse me, because a lot of people, they're just like in an absolute tailspin about this man with hatred. I'm not talking about a policy disagreement. I'm talking about a visceral, vicious, and blinding hatred. Because of that, many of those around us are missing the ability to benefit from the things that he and his administration have done. They don't even know about it. Now, let's look at the receipts. We've got, some people call it the baby Trump accounts. I call it the Trump accounts, okay? But some call it the Trump baby accounts, the Trump baby accounts, the baby IRAs. Then we have the Trump IRAs for adults. And specifically, there's a Trump RX for medication costs. And then some people don't even know about this, the Home Buyer Dream Program. The Home Buyer Dream Program, HDP, is a first-time home buyer grant initiative managed by the Federal Home Loan Bank System, offering funds for down payments, closing costs, and home buyer counseling. And a lot of that is centered in New York, where a lot of people are fleeing from. But this has come through his administration. This shows the heart that he has towards we the people, whether you like it or not, whether you take advantage of it or not. What we're talking about is getting the foundation right instead of it being driven by hatred or love. I mean, what can we get excited about? What do we need to know about that could benefit us as we the people? Now, I just encourage you to go look up Trump RX and these programs for yourself. They are tools meant to be used. And I've had pastors coming to me saying, we don't, Sister Pons, we don't need to be doing no Trump accounts for children. We don't need that. We need to go through our own foundation. That's a black pastor coming at me with that. And then it said, and ours is based on a first come, first serve. Well, Trump accounts is for children that are under 18. So if you are going to limit what we could have access to that could allow a child when they turn 18 to have money to put down payment on a house, to start a business, to use on their college education or trade school, who are you to try to keep that from them and their families? So we have millions of families that are taking advantage of it, and there are other things that I've already specified that are available to us, to we the people. Guys, America is our country. This is my country. This is our country. And I tick some people off when I say that. I believe this is my country. We do not have another country. We were born here. We don't have another continent that we were born on. I was not born in Africa. My ancestors were born in the Congo, but not me. I'm not looking for the motherland. I'll never go there. Don't plan on going there. I'm not interested in going there. What God has called me to do is here. Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't visit if I had cause to go, but right now, my assignment is here. No matter how much someone tries to sell you a different narrative to keep you feeling like an outsider of the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America, guys, it's a lie. America is our homeland. We are all American, and this nation's success is our success. It's the success of my son, who's in the military, first lieutenant, has been promoted to captain. I'm invested in him. I'm invested in the military. I'm invested as a Blue Star mom. I take this stuff real seriously. Oh, yeah. My success is his success, is America's success. We're hooked in this thing together. So you can't talk me into hating America or my fellow Americans. Have you ever wondered why is the enemy of our souls trying to keep us from owning this? Why is there a relentless effort to make and keep us offended? Why? Why is there an effort to make us embrace defending illegal people and make them be a part of our cause, where we defend them and we're supposed to put all our resources and our support in undergirding illegal people and forget about we the people that are already citizens? You can't convince me that that should be my focus. That's why the border matters. That's why it matters. It is well documented that illegal immigration hits certain communities and workers first and hardest. Taking a firm stance on deportations is about what? Protecting our own home and our own people. And I make no excuses for it. We the people, that's important to me. Why it matters. Why does it matter, illegal immigration? It can negatively impact our community through what? Wage suppression, job competition in low-skilled sectors, the strain on local public resources, and the dilution of political influence, academic studies, civic panels, and policy organizations. It's all documented in several areas where unchecked immigration creates specific challenges for us as Americans, not to speak of the American citizens that have been unalived by these people that were loosed on our streets by the Obama, Biden, Harris cabal. You want me to name them? Go just type it in Google. American citizens who lost their lives through the hands of illegal immigrants who were loose on our streets. Guys, you got to remember, when Biden was in there, they were paroling them out of prison in Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Why? They wanted to inundate our nation with illegal immigrants, and they were getting the ones out of this parole program, and they were making sure they had health care. Did they make sure you had health care? Did you have health care that everybody's taxpayer dollars was taking care of you? I'm just calling a spade, telling the truth here. The foundation has to be right. And our foundation has been hijacked. And Donald Trump stood against it. He said, no, America first. Americans first. Now, hear me out here. I'm framing some things. What has been the impact on labor and economics related to all these dynamics where they've tried to jack up our foundation? There's something called labor competition. Undocumented workers or illegal workers heavily concentrate low-wage, low-skilled industries such as, and it's going to be more of a propensity towards this occurring in construction. Now, these are important areas of employment and what people do. I honor them greatly. But there's a thrust to make it as low paying as possible. Construction, food processing, hospitality, and warehousing. Those areas of employment. So what does this do? When we inundate those particular areas with people that are undocumented, that are illegal, it increases intense direct competition for entry-level jobs. Then there's wage suppression. Unscrupulous employers often exploit undocumented laborers by paying below market or sub-minimum wages. The competition becomes a whole different ball game. This oversupply of cheaper, informal labor drives down baseline wages for native-born workers, trapping many low-income Americans at the bottom of the economic ladder. Who's supposed to be paying attention to these types of things? Who's supposed to be paying attention to it? Does it matter? Now, what about social and community strain? We're talking about getting the foundation right and keeping it right. Social and community strain. Strained public services, urban neighborhoods and school districts with high concentrations of low-income residents are already historically underfunded. Then you get this rapid influx of undocumented populations, and it stretches local infrastructure. It overcrowds public classrooms, driving up emergency room wait times and straining safety net programs. I've talked to teachers, and they've said, these kids, they can't even speak English, and neither does she speak what they speak. And you're supposed to teach them. This is the reality of what was thrust upon us. And I remember during 2024, the Obama, Biden, Harris cabal, they were bringing them in at 5,000 and 10,000 a day. That was our reality. Then there are the dynamics of housing affordability. People all tripped out about how high rent is. How did it get that way? How did it get that way? Right now, people are paying more in rent than I am for my mortgage payment. On my house that I had built 3 years ago, my son had it built 3 years ago. I thank God for it. But they're building new places around my community. And boy, I called that number to check on the rent. Beautiful duplexes not too far from where I'm from. The rent is higher than my mortgage. Why is it driving? How did it get that way? The spike in local demand for affordability entry-level rentals can cause landlords to raise prices. These people are, where you gonna house 10,000 people that's coming in a day, guys? Let that happen for a whole year. And we've gone a whole year up to this point where President Trump shut down all these people coming across our border illegally. All these things have a ripple effect. It causes pricing to be totally out of reach for low-income families, and it worsens housing insecurity. This is our reality. So we're talking about getting the foundation right. These things are foundational to America. Then there is dilution of political representation in areas where political boundaries are drawn based on total population size, which includes non-citizens. That's why they wanted to get them in here. What happens? There are large shifts in demographic concentrations, and it can subtly dilute the voting power, advocacy focus, and congressional representation of historical voter blocks. True story. And we're supposed to just go along with it all. I think not. They're jacking up the foundation of our nation, and they don't want us to say anything about it. But we use basic logic and deductive reasoning over here and lay these facts out. Guys, when we look at the foundation of this nation and getting the foundation right and embracing the freedom thereof, there can be the dynamics of overshadowing the civil rights legacy. Yes, it was a legacy of civil rights. I grew up in Jim Crow. I grew up in the midst of seeing all that stuff going on. People hosed down with fire hoses, dogs being sicked on people, churches being bombed with the little girls in it in Birmingham, Alabama. I lived through all of that. I lived through all of that, sitting in a balcony for the first movie I saw on wooden, backless, splintery benches. It was traumatic in that balcony as others were sitting down in cushion seats below us. I could not figure out why in the world all them black folk in that balcony was so loud, rowdy, and angry. I was just terrified. I was traumatized. But they were acting out what they had not worked out in their souls, their mind, their will, their emotions, their intellect, their drive, their desires. It was driven by all this mess that was being perpetrated. We've come a long way. So, all these dynamics that are going on that they want to shatter our foundation, it can overshadow that legacy. Some scholars note that treating the immigration debate identically to the mid-20th century civil rights movement marginalizes the unique unresolved legacy of slavery and legal segregation. Oh yeah, it's not the same, but they want to make it the same. And this is what this is the thing. I'm just talking. I'm thinking out loud here because this is what they're telling Black Americans. We have to all stick together. The brown and the black people. The brown people are the illegal immigrants. And we're being told as Black Americans, we got to stick together. And they have a hand with the black hand in the front. I've seen the visuals, the memes. And then it's brown hand surrounded, and we all got to stick together. Listen, baby, I'm not a bit more concerned about a brown hand or a black hand or a white hand. I'm concerned about America and the foundation thereof. And that is a melting pot, and you need to come in the right way. We welcome everybody, but we got to know who you are. We do. Guys, resources and legislative priorities. There are priorities that get lost. Resources and legislative priorities are sometimes redirected towards managing border crisis rather than addressing the persistent inequalities affecting native-born Americans. This is why we have the EEOC and we have these different Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. You have these entities in place to be able to address that, but we want that. What the Democratic Party wants to do is to lump it all together, lump them in there too. No, they're not Americans. How does all of this fit in with the vision of America under this current administration? Guys, Donald Trump, he's caused a stir. He has. But I'm going to tell you this about that man. He's a pinnacle of being American. As evidenced by what? He promotes success in pursuing the highest heights of growth and success. His children are the same. And here's the thing. He wants it for everybody. His mind, his brand is America. That's why so many people loved him. He believes that if America does well, he looks good. He does. So this is why he wants the kids to have the account. He wants our kids, an average child, to be as successful as his children are. So let's give a newborn $1,000 seed money under the Trump accounts, and it goes right into the stock, and starts getting dividends when they're little bitty babies. And then it grows and it grows, and you have companies that said, okay, one of the guidelines of it is you can put $5,000 a year in it. And you got companies saying, okay, hey, for each dependent, I'll give you $2,500, and they get to write it off. Good for them. Everybody wins. Everybody wins. Let the business owner, let them write off their $2,500 per dependent. Let the family contribute, and the child, when they're 18, look at what they've got. By the time these kids are 27 years old, just based upon the history of the stock market, they will be millionaires. I've never seen it happen. Never seen it happen. Everybody's not going to love that man, but he has done things that no one else has ever done. It's to the point that hate has blinded so many people that they're sabotaging their own interests. Did you hear me? Sabotaging their own interests, telling me, we good sister, we don't need to be telling nobody about no Trump accounts. They sound like ignorant fools to me. Are you kidding me? Why would we leave it on the table? It's just crazy. This is what I hear. And unfortunately, I hear it coming from black folk. Drinking the Kool-Aid. Drinking the Kool-Aid. Guys, Donald Trump, with his imperfect, rough around the edges self, is doing everything he can to bring back manufacturing and energy production, to increase private sector jobs, and to shrink our government that has already been more of a burden to us than anyone else that I've ever seen. He's working to promote American cultural homogeneity while maintaining an ethnically heterogeneous society. What's wrong with that? He understands that a nation is strongest when it is unified by a shared American culture and the strength of Christianity. He's not ashamed of that, even while we remain diverse. Now, I want to address black Americans for just a minute. The rest of you can listen if you want to. I'm talking to black folk right now, because I know the target has been put on black folks' back. I are one. Yes, I am. Descendant of slaves, know them by name. Now listen to me. Why has the Democratic Party structure worked against us since before Reconstruction, literally since their inception? Why? Why? Think about it. I'm coming for your thought processes, because they sure have come after ours. Consider what they've done, guys. They triggered the Civil War because they wanted to keep us in chains. After the war, it was Republicans, the ones that they say we're supposed to hate. It was Republicans who delivered the first real reparations. Look up Special Field Order 15. Go look it up. Special Field Order 15 during the March to the Sea. Look that up. That was a Republican promise and a Republican delivery. They delivered. Special Field Orders number 15 was a military directive issued by Union General William Tecumseh Sherman on January 16, 1865 in Savannah, Georgia, following his successful march to the sea. It set aside 400,000 acres of coastal land for freed black families, giving rise to the phrase 40 acres and a mule. What happened next? Revocation of it. Because it was a temporary wartime military directive, the order was short-lived. And what happened? The land was returned, land returned, land returned. Following Abraham Lincoln's assassination, Democratic President Andrew Johnson reversed the policy and returned the confiscated lands to who? The former Confederate owners, who were Democrats. It went right back into the slave owners' hands. It was the Democrats who dismantled those promises during Reconstruction. And they put us back into 90 years of slavery. I went through it. 90 years of suppression. Democrat Party policies. It wasn't that Johnson couldn't even garner enough votes to pass the 1964 and 1965 Voter Rights Act and Civil Rights Act. It was the Republicans that gave the votes for that. They set Black Americans back centuries by stealing that land and those resources back from us. Now they're trying to co-opt the very word reparations as a Trojan horse. They aren't talking about our lineage or our heritage. They're trying to give reparations to foreigners, and they already got it. And y'all talking about, were they paying for your housing, your health care, your free money card, your education, your child daycare? Hello? Your money and my money was paying that for illegal immigrants. Am I talking to anybody? They didn't have our struggle of history. It's a scheme to buy loyalty and create a new form of indentured servitude through government checks. And they got it all. And on our backs. Do you see what's going on? And then they want to tell you Trump is the boogeyman. Guys, wake up. Wake up. Wake up, wake up. The Democrats have a pattern. They claim to want to help us, but look at what happens when Trump offers what they say they won't. He offered it. He tried to cap credit card rates at 10%. He proposed taxing billionaires more. The Democrats killed it. Why? Because they can't have him looking good, if it helps you. They use us as a show pony for agendas like DEI, which they associated with Black people, even though it largely benefited white women and the LGBTQ. That's just the facts, and that's a day to go look it up. Don't take my word for it. Everything in every category except non-Black. I'm laying it out, and I'm still talking to Black folk right now. Y'all, the rest can listen. But I'm just laying it out because it all affects America. We got the bad looks, and then others got jobs. They push critical race theory to tell us we are victims rather than teaching our excellence and our rich lineage of contributions to this amazing nation. Listen. I'm not telling you to jump on any kind of train or become a Republican. My 102-year-old mother did after being a Democrat all her life when she just told me, what are you? And I told her, you know I was a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, and here's why I changed. And then her words to me was, I just want to do the right thing. And right there, while she got her a real ID, she changed to a registered Republican at 102 years old. Grew up in the South. Grew up through Great Depression, been a Democrat all her life. I want to do the right thing, and she's a Christian. She believes in godly principles. And I laid out all those platforms. She was like, I want to do the right thing. Hello, is it clear? I'm telling you, guys, what I'm trying to say. Why are you cutting off your nose to spite your face? The Democrat Party has never benefited us. They continue to push things that sound nice on paper, but are poison in actual practice. What would happen if we stopped being an emotional asset for a party that views you as a vote to be bought rather than a person to be respected? Is it time to put your collective interests ahead of their narrative? This leads to our clinical perspective that we're going to touch upon. Embracing freedom. It means actively accepting and valuing personal liberty. It goes beyond physical independence to include mental and emotional liberation, such as breaking free from self-imposed limitations, external expectations, and fear of judgment. I don't care anything about people judging me anymore. I've had the public smear campaigns. It made me stronger. It made me better, not bitter. It is the ongoing practice of living authentically and taking responsibility for our own choices. Now, there's some key aspects of life that we can look at when we're talking about embracing freedom. There's psychological and emotional freedom. Let's look at this a little bit closer. This is the internal process of releasing yourself from mental barriers such as guilt, past traumas, or the need for constant external validation. And I'm going to say it right now. Some people would benefit from the therapeutic process so they can dissect, process, and metabolize strategies, skills, and tools around why they can't jump that hurdle. You can begin by setting boundaries. What about that? Go read up on boundaries. Check out books about boundaries. Learn how to say no to draining obligations. That's a practical way to prioritize what truly brings you peace and purpose. A lot of people don't even know what authentic living is. Authentic living, where we learn to embrace freedom and allowing and embracing the fact that we can express our true self without fear. I can express my true self of being a Christian, conservative, constitutionalist without fear. I have no fear. I had to grow into it because you get pinpointed. You get targeted with vitriol. Sometimes you do. But guys, what I've learned, it requires self-awareness to recognize the difference between what society expects of you and what is it that you actually value. Freedom comes with the responsibility of choice. Instead of operating with a victim mentality where life happens to you, you embrace freedom, which means recognizing that you are the author of your own life and you take ownership of your own circumstances. And when you add God in this equation, it says that He is the author and the finisher of our faith. Oh yeah, that's our spiritual perspective. Who is the author and the finisher of your faith? It's not a political party. It's not in being black or white. Oh my God. Wow. Guys, if we learn how to stop a victim mentality, what is that going to entail? Requiring actively shifting our mindset from helplessness to personal agency. The quickest way possibly to consider doing this is to take ownership of one small thing today, like possibly considering your attitude or daily effort. And consciously replace why me? Why me with what's my next move? I have mastered that. Ask me how I know how to do it. Being faced with adversity, being faced with having doors closed in my face, and God told me, keep showing up. Knock on doors. Keep showing up, and boy, has He been faithful. Oh, yes. Guys, what's your inner language? Breaking the cycle of internal blame by changing the questions you ask yourself. When you catch yourself thinking, well, why is this happening to me? Or everything is against me. Do you know how to interrupt it and say, what can I learn from this? What's my next move? What am I going to do with this? Recognizing that while you cannot control what happens to you sometimes, you have total control over how you will respond. Is this making sense to you? Guys, if we focus our energy on moving forward rather than dwelling on who we're going to blame, what would happen? What would happen if we practiced gratitude and service? What would happen? What would happen? If we feel wrong where we take daily habits like journaling about our blessings or performing acts of service where it shifts our focus towards empowerment. What about building an empowered community? What about that? Oh, wow. Taking these young people, emboldening them, taking them under our wing. Guys, we are a force to be reckoned with, and the enemy of our soul does not want us to know this. What have we looked at tonight? Getting the foundation right. And our clinical perspective is embracing freedom. I said it once, I say it again. We're one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This flag behind me means something to me. I'm an American. I'm here. The foundation is, this is America. This is my home. This is where I was born. And I'm called to pray for the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. We're going to either stay in the game or bellyache and sit on the sideline and not receive all that God has for us. But I am going to embrace it and push it and push it and push it and challenge us in this community that we can form a more perfect union, which means us flowing together as one. The enemy of our souls is fighting that tooth and nail, and I'm going to promote it, and there are millions of us that will as well. So guys, we're going to keep showing up. We're going to dissect these things. Getting the foundation right is important, and also embracing freedom is important, because the enemy of our soul wants to take it away from us. But he's a father of lies, and the truth has never been in him. If he's talking, he's lying. I will see you guys next week as we continue to go from destruction to dignity, clinical perspectives, spiritual truth. Clinical perspectives, strategies, skills, tools, a way of thinking, challenging each other. From destruction, we know what that is, to dignity, clinical perspectives, spiritual truths. I will see you guys next week. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
We are God empowered, strength is ours, liberty, been set free, education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation.